Okay, here's Mangalam with the worldview.
No good cues coming in from the global markets. On Friday's trading session, there was a sharp sell-off on Wall Street, nearly 3% shaved off the Nasdaq, as well as 600 points off the Dow. With that, the Dow has now turned negative for 2018. There are a couple of reasons for that. The first one, of course, is that increased trade war tensions after US is mulling action against Chinese hackers, so that elevated fears. And secondly, weak jobs data that came in. US economy has added just 1.55 lakh jobs. This compares with expectations of almost 2 lakh jobs. So which were the stocks that lost? It was, of course, the trade war sensitives, all of them, the likes of Boeing, Caterpillar and John Deere losing in trade. Along with that, we had the financials, which did not do too well as well. JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, all of them falling anywhere between 1.8 to 2%. European markets were by and large mixed, but a couple of individual stocks, they were in focus in Europe as well. So the FTSE was higher. That's primarily because Tesco was higher by 4% after a brokerage upgraded that stock. The German index was lower because Fresenius SE, one of the healthcare companies, reduced their guidance, and that stock fell about 18%. Across the European markets to Asia now, all the indices are at the low point of the day, and this is also on account of weak Chinese trade data that has come in for November. Exports have grown much lower than expectations. So weak US economy data, weak Chinese economic data as well. Add to that, we have Brent, which is above $62 per barrel mark as we speak, and with that, the exit poll data. Put all of that together, and we have the SGX Nifty shaving off about 155 points just at the open.
Thank you very much, Mangalam. The last one is what we need to analyze a little more, the domestic exit poll data. Here's that big story. After going through the exit polls released, here's how the numbers are stacking up. Remember, there are 9 polls. The Congress is holding the aces in Rajasthan. 7 of the exit polls are predicting a comfortable victory for the Congress, and only 1 poll has BJP in the lead, and that's also a slender lead. So there were 8 polls in all in Rajasthan. For Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, there were 9 polls. Madhya Pradesh looks to be pretty even keel, with the Congress leading in 5 polls, as opposed to the BJP showing a lead in 4 of the polls. Remember, the incumbent Shivraj Singh Chauhan is seeking a 4th term as Chief Minister.
Okay, let's now go to Chhattisgarh. It's a tight race there as well. 5 polls are giving the lead to the BJP and 4 polls are giving the lead to the Congress. But these leads are wafer thin in most polls, and the state seems to be headed for a hung assembly there. In Telangana, the incumbent TRS is leading in all of the 6 exit polls that have been released so far. Pollsters are predicting that K. Chandrasekhar Rao-led TRS may retain power in the state, and in Mizoram, MNF looks to be ahead in the exit polls.
Okay, so for the big 3, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, it could go either way, but Rajasthan appears to swing in favour of the Congress. Bhupendra Chaubey, National Affairs Editor at CNN News 18, joins us on the phone line with more insights. Bhupen, I know you've had a marathon Friday and Saturday as well. Thank you very much for joining us this early. Well, what's your sense? You did some ground reports as well, and you've been a veteran. You called Bihar correctly. Tell us, how much should we trust the exit polls? Is this it? Photo finish with a little bit of a swing in favour of the Congress?
You know, I always say, Lata, that the best way to look at the exit polls is to, while treating them taking them with a pinch of salt, is to look for a broad trend. And then try and decipher and take some leads and points about what could possibly happen on the 11th. I think that what we see from the exit polls are two things. One, irrespective of whatever happens on the 11th, which is Tuesday, I think there are some causes of concern for the BJP nationally. What the exit poll, and if you take a look at the raw data, what they suggest, certainly in the case of both Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, is that those communities which had voted overwhelmingly for the BJP in 2013 and 14, when the Modi wave was at its peak or beginning to peak, there is a tendency now of those communities, the poorest of the poor communities in some parts, moving back either to the Congress party or moving back to regional groups, whether it is Ajit Jogi's party in Chhattisgarh or the Gondwana Ganatantra party in Madhya Pradesh, or some of the other third front or regional fronts which have been created in the state of Rajasthan. So that would certainly be a cause of concern for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, if you were to actually talk about the results itself, I think there is some reason to celebrate for the BJP there as well, because you're looking at a scenario where even after 15 years, after a 3-term government, neither in Chhattisgarh nor in Madhya Pradesh, no exit poll is predicting a virtual wipeout of the BJP. In Rajasthan, the truth is that for the last 25 years, no incumbent party has ever come back to power. Maybe there is consensus there, and I would tend to go by that it's increasingly unlikely whether Vasundhara Raje will be able to come back. I still believe that the game of Madhya Pradesh is tilted in favor of the BJP for the simple reason that in a tightly fought contest, the party which has a better infrastructure on the ground, which has better boots on the ground, will hold the aces. The story of Madhya Pradesh could change very dramatically region to region. I was looking at some of the raw data of the exit polls, and it seems to suggest that in Malwa, while the BJP has lost some ground, and typically it is stated that whoever takes Malwa ends up winning the state of Madhya Pradesh, in the other region, which is Kamalnath's region, which is around Chhindwara in the Mahakaushal belt, the BJP's vote share seems to be gaining. Now, if that's happening, then I would suggest that Shivraj Singh Chauhan may not have too many reasons to be losing hope at this point of time. I still believe Madhya Pradesh is tilted in favor of the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Bhupen, hi, good morning. The big question from market's point of view is how much of this trend can be extrapolated into 2019? And of course, the BJP won a majority of seats. In fact, all of the 25 seats in Rajasthan, I think all but 2 seats in Madhya Pradesh. Similar was the case in Chhattisgarh. We know what happened in UP, Bihar. So the market knows that, have to factor in some losses, but how much of this trend should be extrapolated then?
I think, Anuj, and let me say this with a certain degree of caution, but let me be absolutely clear about it. I think if your viewers are thinking that 2019 is going to be a repeat of 2014, then that would be an erroneous reading of the situation. I think if you look at the big picture, if you look at the broad picture, and let's keep the trends which have been projected by the exit poll into our consideration. Let's assume that if in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, all these states where the BJP virtually swept last time around, I mean, it got in all these, in between these 3 states, I think the Congress party got hardly 3 out of the seats in these 3 states. Now, if we're thinking that the Congress party is going to be down again as badly as it was in 2014, then that's not going to happen. I think that there will be, and that's why I pointed out that there is a tendency which one is picking up of movement of some communities, poorest of the poor communities, in middle classes, in areas which we saw in Jabalpur, in Udaipur. In a lot of these areas, there is a tendency for certain sections of middle classes also moving away from the BJP, all of whom had voted overwhelmingly for Narendra Modi. So there is going to be some loss. If you're asking me to give you a number, I think that the best way to understand the scenario is just like I'm saying that despite some losses in Madhya Pradesh, even to an extent in Chhattisgarh, I still believe that BJP has the lead. Similarly, I think in 2019, there are bound to be losses, but those losses may not be so strong to actually end up creating a change of guard at the center. My own estimate is that if in UP, if the Mahabandhan between BSP and the Samajwadi Party stays, and say if in the state of Telangana, if this Muhakotami, which had been worked out between the TDP and the Congress party along with a couple of other regional outfits, if that ends up beating TRS, but though that's not the picture which has been thrown by exit polls, if the alliance comes to power in Andhra Pradesh, in Telangana, and if Ajit Jogi and Mayawati end up holding the aces in the state of Chhattisgarh, I think then you are looking at a story where the Congress party would be emboldened to go in for several statewide alliances. In that kind of a scenario, I anticipate that the BJP could be anywhere, say, between 200 to 120 seats, and the rest of the seats would be split up between the alliances of the Congress party. But even at 220, the game will certainly be with Narendra Modi. The game will be with the BJP. The game is not going to be with the alliance or with the Congress party.
Okay, all right. Bhupen, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us your quick take. So there are definitely causes of concern for the BJP.
There are actually
at
3
this
important points. Maybe we should remember that this is exit polls. This is not the final result. Secondly, people can vote very differently in the parliamentary elections. And thirdly, there is 6 months from now to the votes, or almost 5 months. And that's also a long time in politics. Yeah. So, we have to keep all these uncertainties in mind.
Also, I guess, the common argument is that state election voting is very different from national election voting, but it may just embolden the Congress, as, Bhupen was saying, in case it goes in their favor in the state elections. But let's do one thing. Let's get you a couple of views. We spoke to a whole host of market experts on what they think the impact will be of the exit polls and the final results on the market. Listen in.
If you look at the numbers, they're all over the place, frankly. Yes. And my guess is Rajasthan was more or less a consensus as to which way the election is likely to. It was quite a strong, pre-poll, anti-incumbency. Yeah. So a 2-1 or a 1-2 kind of a scenario on the 11th probably won't impact the markets too much. A 3-0 may be a little weak for the market, but again, then we have to see what the margins are. If the margins are not too great, then probably it'll be an event probably which will impact the markets for a week or so, and then we'll be back to looking at the fundamental data.
Personally speaking, it's a great thing what's happening, because what it shows is the very short journey from invincibility to fearful losses. And I think the lesson for everybody is you can't play around with the economy, and if you play around with the economy, the voters will penalize you. So I think if it's a 3-0 or a 4-0, I think there will be a great relief in the market that the ruling party will come back and do something serious to the economic side of the business and correct things which have gone wrong, and we should see substantial upliftment. So I think a great loss is maybe a great victory for the stock market, as it may turn out to be.
Around any election outcome, there's always lots of expectation, lots of things moving around, and they always last for maybe 2 days or 3 days. So I think whatever is the outcome, I believe that it will last 2 days, and then market will get back to normalcy. But assuming that let us say an outcome goes against the government, I would say you will again see a short-lived correction, or a temporary narrative which is getting built that, oh my God, what will happen to the now? This is the sort of trend towards what's going to happen in 2019. But I do believe that market narratives keeps on changing. Then market can also build a narrative saying that, oh, people will vote for state differently and central differently. So I think it depends on what is the underlying tone of the market, and market builds narrative around that.